Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump and today I'll be reviewing the Age of Calamity demo that was released back last week on Wednesday the 20th of October. Now, I'm not going to be going into spoilers just in case anybody hasn't downloaded the demo yet or just waiting to play the full version of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So I will try and use as little spoilers as I can. So basically, this demo that was released, it basically talked about the events that happened 100 years ago during before when Calamity Ganon took over Hyrule and took over the Divine Beast and the Guardians and Hyrule Castle itself. And this is basically takes a lot of elements from the previous Hyrule Warriors game. So for example, there are elements of where you have to beat up a bunch of monsters, beat up some tougher monsters, and you can use a variety of characters from the Zelda series, but mainly the people that were around during the events of 100 years ago. So for example, Link, you can use him in a lot of areas, and then you can also use other characters like Impa, who's young, and which I think is quite nice, and because we get to see characters we saw in Breath of the Wild, but we get to see them young. So for example, Impa, as I just said, Robbie and Pura, and I think we get to see a whole new persona to them, because in Breath of the Wild we got to see those characters as old characters, but quite literal, because they were old because of how long it took for Link to wake up from his slumber in the slumber of resurrection, or the resurrection shrine. Yeah, the shrine of resurrection. Yeah, and we get to see how they acted back when they were younger. And yeah, I do enjoy this because the demo it only does the first 2 chapters of the game, and yeah, and I feel this helps a lot of filling in the blanks of what happened 100 years ago, kind of like how the Star Wars prequels did it. Even though those movies are bad, those movies were able to help us, or able to help Star Wars fans figure out how those events happened before the original trilogy. So that's what I'm getting from this game. It's kind of like a Star Wars prequel type of vibe to it, but instead of being Star Wars prequels, this game is actually good. And I do enjoy a lot of the stuff from it, because it's just a really cool beginner, before you play the main story and before you play the full game. The controls I had to get a bit of used to, because I was playing on because before I played the demo, I mainly played on the original a lot of the time, and I would be used to those games' controls. So for example, let's say I'm using Zelda in the original Hyrule Warriors, I would do BBY as a combo of moves, and Zelda would do those particular kind of moves when I'm doing the combos. But for this one, instead of being BBY, it's YYX, and I had to get used to that kind of game mechanics, because there were times when I would misinput a button or something like that. But yeah, I did get used to it eventually. But yeah, I think the controls I will have to get used to as when I play the full game when it comes out later this month. And yeah, I think the demo overall is an okay demo. I think it really helps us see what kind of game Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity will be like, and how it's going to fit in to not only Breath of the Wild, but the Breath of the Wild sequel that's going to be coming out sometime later in the future. I'm not too sure when, but hopefully either next year or the year after that. Maybe that's where we see Breath of the Wild 2 within that time period. But I really do think Age of Calamity helps, or the demo at least helps have a sense of idea of what kind of game we're going into, because this isn't like a typical sort of game like Ocarina of Time, where you're just going through dungeons and beating the boss at the end. This is basically a full-on story within itself, like, apart from like, because like in the Zelda timelines, you got like, all these stories connecting like together with the timelines and then being connected by Skyward Sword. But this is like an actual trilogy we have here, because we've got like, Breath of the Wild, the first one that has a sense of real mystery. Then we've got the Breath of the Wild 2 coming out, that's going to help us have more of that mystery. But then we've got Age of Calamity, where we're going to have some of those mysteries answered and help us think of how much of that game is going to be brought into or brought up in the Breath of the Wild sequel. So yeah, I enjoyed the demo. I hope that when the when Age of Calamity does come out, it's going to be way cooler, and it's going to be really exciting. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.